back. So, in the previous video we were working on our first person camera and we got things to the point where we could hit some keys and move around. That's pretty cool. Now in this video we're going to extend it and we're going to add mouse support. So, there are sort of two stages to this. One stage is similar to handle keys. We're going to make a handle mouse function which reads off the mouse's position and updates things. And then the next step is we're going to incorporate that information into our camera view. And we'll talk about that. So let's go ahead and make the handle mouse function. So unlike the previous handle keys function, we were dealing with a list where you can just modify elements in place. It's no problem. In this case, I'm just going to be rotating the camera around the y-axis. So that's just looking horizontally. And so that's just a single value. So I'm going to change this in future, but currently this is set up to take in the camera's angle and output the camera's new angle. So what I'm going to need to do is, first of all, I'm going to need to get the position of the mouse. So I'll say current position is Pygame mouse, get pos, awesome. And if we hover over here, we can see that will return sort of a tuple of two integers, the x and y coordinates. I'm also going to define, the turning speed. And now what I'm really interested in is how far the mouse has deviated from the center of the screen. So I'll make a variable called dx, and that will be the x coordinate of the current position minus the center x coordinate of the screen. Because the trick is, ideally what I'd like to do is every frame read off the mouse position, measure how far it's gone from the screen, spin the camera around, and then every frame reset the mouse position to the center of the screen. The issue with that is that in Pygame, mouse coordinates are measured in integers, not floats. And so if we move a tiny amount at a high frame rate, it will really mess up. It will move discontinuously or not at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a conditional statement, and the thing that I'm checking is that the mouse has actually moved. And if the mouse has moved, then I'll reset the mouse to the center of the screen. So I'll say Pygame mouse set position, and I'll just put it at the center. So 320, 240. This will really mess things up a little bit. So what I'll do is, I mean mess things up in the sense that if we're looking at the screen and we can see the mouse, it'll look really strange. So what I'll do is upon creation of everything, set the visibility of the mouse to false. So that, yeah, I mean, there's a mouse. It's there, fixed at the center of the screen. We just don't see it. And also what I'm going to do, I can no longer move the mouse to hit the exit for the window, or not reliably at least. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, when I'm checking for exit, if I have a key down event, and the event of that key is the escape key, then that's now how I'm going to exit everything. But anyway, back up to my mouse movement function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin the mouse, and I'm also going to apply just some bounce checks. This is just keeping it within the range 0 to 360, which actually isn't strictly necessary, but I like to do it. Okay, so with all of that done, we've been modifying this value, but we're going to need to return it. Okay, awesome. So now I'm going to go back down, and just down where I've got this camera position, I'm also going to define camera theta, which I guess we can just keep it at 0. And then after I handle keys, I'm going to say, so every frame pass in the camera's angle, possibly modify that angle and read back the new value. Cool. So all I need to do now is incorporate that information into my camera view. So when I go to call this, I'll also pass in the camera's angle, and then I'll go up to the camera view function, and I'll say, alrighty, in addition to this, we can also take in the angle. Right, so I should probably start talking about this. So remember that when it came to making the camera the center of the world, in terms of just position, we subtracted the camera's position from everything. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to take into account rotation. So I know I do this exercise so many times, but I sort of imagine looking forward and then spinning my head to the left, but imagining that my head is staying completely still. From my perspective, it looks as though the world is rotating in the opposite direction. And that's very similar to what I'm going to do. So I'm going to apply a rotation function. Opposite to the camera's angle. And because we're doing horizontal rotation, that is rotating around the y-axis. So for my axis of rotation, I'll put in that. And to be honest, even though it would make more sense to subtract the camera's position first and then rotate, for some reason, this is just the way that works. So I suspect that something funky is going on, and if I were to actually not use OpenGL Legacy, I'd be able to code up my own shader to get things working properly. But here we have it now, so I can sort of move the mouse around, and I'm looking. I can look to the left, just like that. I can look to the right, just like that. And that's all I've got. Things will start to mess up a little bit if I combine that with motion. So I can look, and then I can move, but that will just change my position in world coordinates. It will not take into account the direction that I'm facing. So we are almost done with this first-person camera. What we're going to do in the next video is incorporate the direction into our movement. Anyway, I hope to see you there, and yeah, see you soon. Bye.